Okay, y'all, I am so not in the mood. Okay, I'm just not in the mood to be here, so please don't tick me off. Okay? I'm joking, but I'm not in the mood. Um, with that all being said, okay, so Karmelo was denied. His motion for the retrial was denied. Okay, and we shouldn't be surprised because this is Texas. Okay, it was wishful thinking on our behalf. So let's get into it, see what they're talking about. And then I want to go to Willie D because Willie D was actually there in court, okay, and yesterday. And I saw that he's reported on this. So I just want to hear what he has to say about it. Like up, everyone, please like and share. Let me go to these reports. All right, here we go. Hold on. Said Queen, in the second appeal, will the defense be able to bring in the transcripts since they didn't have them on the first appeal? Honey, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to be able to do. Texas, they have different laws in different states. Okay, now with that all being said, let's go to this report. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Now this was already live, so let's see what they're talking about.
I didn't do it until the Delta 9 because I took an oath. It's the same oath that criminal defense attorneys take, right?
Absolutely.
Because you're supposed to zealously represent your client, just like a prosecutor is supposed to zealously represent the state. And I think by the defense attorney agreeing not to get into that stuff, he hobbled his ability to fashion a defense that might have gotten his client a lesser time. It's also my understanding there was opportunities to plea bargain, opportunities to possibly plead to lesser included that weren't explored. I don't know that for sure, but that's what I've been told. That should have been explored by an attorney who was conducting a reasonable analysis of the case, as opposed, right, to someone that maybe had other motivations, like the desire for camera time, the desire to have a big victory. For me, I've seen this my whole career of lawyers that would rather risk their client's best interest to get in front of a camera, right? Like during my 2 decades doing criminal defense, which I don't do anymore, I would never talk about a case until it was over, right? You see these attorneys who are just looking for the camera. And
Charles, not to jump in really quick too, as we saw, I believe it was Judge Roach, correct me if I'm wrong when it comes to that, who was on WFAA up in Dallas as soon as the previous court case was done, and he was on camera saying what his thoughts were.
But here's the thing. You say as soon as the court case was done. It wasn't done, right? Yeah. Even the trial process wasn't done. You have, X number of days. You have a month to file your, so you can file your motion for new trial. You file your notice of appeal. You do all these things that are post-verdict, right? Post-sentencing, which is the bifurcated process. And from a non-lawyer, you think, okay, well, after sentencing, it's over. But a judge knows it's not. Yeah. And a judge knows that it could go up on appeal and it could be pending for years. And frankly, there are canons of judicial conduct that restrain judicial behavior, right? Ultimately, I was the presiding judge for a city here in Harris County, like the boss judge for low-level municipal courts. The only judges.
Because you're the HBIC, Charles. You're the HBIC.
No. I mean, it was a city that I had an office in for years. A city I was a police officer in. It's a city in Harris County that I love, right? Yeah. But when I started doing TV, there are all these rules. Like I could never talk about specific candidates, or I could always talk about thoughts and ideas, right? Yep. And I made the decision that I'm a narcissist and I'd rather do TV. So I after many years.
Okay, enough of that. Many of these people did just want to get camera time because it was such a huge case. That's what a lot of it was. And the judge going out there and, doing interviews and all that stuff pretty much shows that. Okay, so now this is a report. Karmelo Anthony's motion for new trial denied by North Texas judge. Karmelo Anthony's legal team can appeal the ruling by Judge Chitty. Okay, so let's go to this news report and see what they're talking about. I just knew I wasn't going to be able to enjoy my darn Saturday. How about y'all? I just knew it.
or so that the new judge assigned in the appeal of Karmelo Anthony has denied the request for a new trial. If you are not familiar with this case, it has really been consuming a lot of news since April of 2025, when Karmelo Anthony was accused of stabbing Austin Metcalf at a high school track meet there in Frisco. Fast forward to June of 2026, Karmelo Anthony was found guilty of murder, and he was sentenced to 35 years in prison. Here we are at the end of August of 2026, and he was appealing. He was first asking for the judge who set in on his original trial to be removed from the case. He was successful in that. And now this judge who's been assigned to listen to the appeal in this case has denied the motion for a new case. So just wanted to set the scene a little bit for folks who may not have heard everything we were saying off the beginning of this coverage. Keith, since you are still with us, I want to quickly ask you, I am looking at an image of the order that is denying the new trial, and it is 3 sentences long. Rebecca read it earlier. It gives no indication about why the judge did this or any sort of, it just simply says denied. Is that unusual, or is that what we should have been expecting?
We should have expected that. A lot of times it is just a signature granting or denying the motion for new trial with whenever you have these hearings. So the judge doesn't have to make findings of fact or conclusions of law or tell why he or she makes the decision that they did, or in this situation that he did. So that is sufficient. It just has to be in writing. Again, like I said earlier, I think a lot of this hearing was to lay out and develop the record that the appellate court is ultimately going to decide. Because in this situation, for a judge to grant the motion for new trial, he would have had to have found that the verdict was contrary to the law and the evidence. And again, that wasn't necessarily all of the hearing was about. It was also developing the record so that now the appellate court's going to get the more in the record from the potential constitutional violations, the right to a public and open trial, and then also the testimony and the evidence from why the defendant was deprived his constitutional right to testify based off of this agreement and everything. So I think that this hearing, from the evidence that was presented, for the judge to grant the motion for new trial, there would have had to have been additional evidence. But again, I think that this hearing was to develop the record, and now the appellate court's going to be able to make a determination whether or not there were constitutional violations and whether or not this evidence that is now in the record supports a new trial.
Yeah, Keith, there was just a lot of people that are going to be disappointed on the Karmelo Anthony side, because they felt that they had evidence that there was this gentleman's agreement between the prosecution and the defense, Bill Worski and Toby Shook, where they agreed that they were not going to bring character issues. So the questioning that was done by the defense when it came to cross-examining some of the witnesses, they decided they were not going to get into Austin Metcalf's character. And a lot of times, obviously, that you don't get that into a trial, the victim's character. However, we learned in this trial that there were a lot of incidents involving Austin Metcalf and his brother where there were allegations of racism and violence and bullying. And so, they're going to be upset about this and obviously are going to still try to appeal this. So talk a little bit about that whole character issue and this gentleman's agreement and how unusual it was.
Well, again, I think that the unusual part to it was more, that both sides weren't on the same page, right? And so if it were in writing or something like that, maybe everyone has the same understanding of what it is. Again, I think with the hearing of all this, all this evidence is in the record now. And of course, people are going to have opinions, and yeah, there's trouble spots for both sides to hear, and the information, the evidence that came out, whether it was regarding the Metcalf brothers or regarding Mr. Anthony, and all this these extraneous.
Okay, let me just put him on hold for a second, please. So Shell says, at QueenAShakur, these white supremacists aren't winning anything. The Most High has the last word. Judgment will follow until Karmelo is released. Well, I seriously doubt it. Okay, that's something we love to say, but we really need to stop saying it. Okay, that's a whole load of BS. They are winning. They got to win. They're always winning. That's why we're oppressed. That's why we have to march. That's why we have to go through all of this stuff. Okay, the Most High is not in control of this world. Satan is, and that's just the fact. Okay, everybody just needs to get over it. At the end of the day, Satan is in charge. Okay, I mean, reading in the Bible, it tells you the devil is ruling this world. That's why we have all the nefarious things going on at this point. Okay, until Yeshua comes back. But until then, the devil's in charge. But that's just how it goes. And they absolutely are winning because that's why he was found guilty in the first place, because they're winning. That's why they're making people slaves. That's why they're building these encampments and putting homeless people there without, without them being able to leave, come and go as they please. Because they're enslaving people again. They have trafficking. We have the Epstein files. I'm sorry, but yeah, they're winning. That's just what it is. And I'm annoyed and sick of it. And we all should be. But the fact is, yeah, they absolutely are winning, okay? The devil's children are running stuff. Sadly, that's just what it is. All right? Now, with that all being said, let's go to what Willie D is talking about, because I'm tired of listening to that guy already. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. And then someone in the chat said, you all need to stop putting your trust in the oppressor, because the oppressor was going to let that black guy out. Here's the thing. I don't think any of us put our trust in the oppressor. And like I said, it was wishful thinking. Okay, it's not that we ever put our trust in the oppressor. Why would we? That would be obtuse. We know the oppressor doesn't work for us. Okay, so that wasn't even the point. Now, Truth Brown says, say it, Queen. I just said that. I had to calm down. That's why they win. The demons, they're demons for the devil. Exactly. Okay, the devil is in charge of this world. Like, y'all need to stop acting like y'all don't get it. Okay, because that's exactly what's going on here. That's why we're always engaged in spiritual warfare. Yeah, energy harvesting, exactly. Okay, now with that all being said, let's see what Willie D's over here talking about. Let me put on my overlay because Willie D did not say I could use his video footage.
Hear you. What Austin deserved, what Austin deserved was a punch in the nose. He deserved a beat down. He didn't deserve to get stabbed to death. That's what I'm saying. And we need to send that message to all the young people. Yeah, you have a right to defend yourself. But
oh God, here he goes. He needs to shut the hell up. First of all, Austin fell on that tool. Karmelo didn't stab him. And you know how you know Karmelo didn't stab him? That's why I'm really so ticked off. Because Karmelo was seated. Okay, he was sitting down the whole damn time. They were hovering over him. And like that elderly white lady said, that he fell on it. And that's what he did. He was trying to be so big and bad, he's leaning over. Think about this. Even if you do have a knife out or a tool, whatever you want to use, and you have that to defend yourself, you might be just holding it so the person will leave you the hell alone. Not that you actually intend to use it, but this big bully hovering over you, okay, talking about, I'm going to beat your bitch ass. That's what he said, according to some witnesses. And so then, he leaned over him. Not to mention, they said he snatched him up in one of those linebacker holds. Okay? So that's how he got stabbed. He brought that on himself. All right, this man needs to be quiet. I'm so sick and tired of people saying that. And another thing is this. When someone is fighting for their life or they feel like they have to defend themselves and they're afraid that they're in imminent danger, you don't get to decide what or how they're supposed to go about doing so. Okay, and also sometimes people don't intend to kill the other person in self-defense, but it just happens that way. Okay, so I'm just over it this time. I'm just so over it. This justice system is not for us. It's designed to keep us in place. Exactly. And also they want to send a message to the rest of us not to be defending ourselves against them. I would defend myself against any damn body. And if I have to take you up out of here to do so, then that's just what's going to happen. Okay, because I'm not going to let somebody kill me or just harm me, and I can't do anything to protect myself. That's crazy. And I always tell you all that I don't condone violence only unless you're defending yourself or someone else. And everyone has a right to self-defense. And you don't get to tell me how to defend myself. I'm going to do so how I choose. All right? And that's what everybody should do, period. Now, people should keep their hands to themselves and mind their own damn business, and then people wouldn't have to defend themselves. You see how that works? It's real easy.
But if the consequences exceed what the law in the United States or the respective state allows or sees as reasonable, you're going to get punished for it. You might end up in prison for 35 years. I mean, look, brother, Willie, you and I, we have very similar backgrounds. We grew up, I'm from South Central Los Angeles.
When Keisha Lance Bottoms got elected, Bottoms' campaign manager landed a $250,000 airport job without ever actually working at the airport.
You know that guy that's talking with the glasses? I think he's an attorney or something. I always wonder why Willie D keeps having him on here. Because this guy is teetering on the borderline of being a raccoon. I mean, I really think he is a raccoon. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because I don't know him like that. But he sounds like a raccoon. I mean, he's always saying something like what he's saying right now. The bottom line is he wasn't there. He doesn't know exactly how it happened unless he saw that footage that other people saw. And I'm not talking about that blurred, altered footage. I'm talking about the real footage. Okay, those people say that Karmelo got jumped. And I believe them. Okay, I absolutely believe them.
You know, you probably know this already. I practice jiu-jitsu, martial arts, boxing. I practice violence every day. And I know it can anger you. But at the end of the day, just because somebody punches you or pushes you, you don't have a right to kill them. And I don't want to send that message to these young people, especially young black men.
First of all, he says he don't want to send that message. Telling people to defend themselves is not sending a message to kill. And again, he's acting as if Karmelo intended to kill Austin. He did not. Okay, he didn't intend to kill him. And sometimes people just die. And sometimes you don't even have to use a weapon. Do you all remember a few years ago where these two guys got into a fight? I mean, this has happened plenty of times, but there was a specific incident a few years ago, maybe 3 or 4, where these two guys got into a fight and one of them beat the other one to death. I mean, he didn't like beat him and beat him and beat him, but he hit him in just the right place that he died. Okay, they got into a fist fight. There was no weapons involved. And he hit him somewhere and he died. The same thing happened to the guy, AJ, that used to go with Candy Burris. If y'all remember that, he got into a fight with somebody and he ended up dying. So sometimes when you get into a physical altercation, you just might die. Okay, you just might die when the person's defending themselves and they may not even have a weapon. So he sounds obtuse. That's all I'm saying. Just keep your hands to yourself and mind your own damn business, and you won't have these issues. I promise you won't.
Saying, hey, you know what? If another black man hits you, you have a right to stab him to death. Because see, if it wasn't Karmelo Anthony, it was going to be a little Ray Ray, a little John in Baton Rouge, Sunnyside, South Central Compton. We do this every day to each other. And so we have to tell our young boys, you can't do this, man. You got to control yourself. That's where I'm at with it. I'm looking at this from a big picture because if it wasn't this Anthony boy who happened to be white, it more likely would have been a boy. And that's where I'm coming from. And I have 3 black sons. And I grew up in that ultra hostile, violent, gang-infested, drug-infested community. And I thank God I'm out of it. And I wish somebody had came in with reason to say, look, man, you got to calm down. You can't overreact. If we had OGs in the...
Listen, I get what he's saying and he's making sense, but the bottom line is that's not this. That's why I want him to shut the hell up, because Karmelo was not some thug who couldn't control his anger and got so mad that he murdered somebody. That's not what happens. I mean, he's speaking about Karmelo as if he's some thug on the street who's always had a history of anger problems. That was Austin. That's who that was. Austin was ghetto. Matter of fact, where's that video? There's a video that I saw of Austin, honey. And he was just ghetto. It's just ghetto, period. Okay? He was just effing ghetto. Okay? There's a ghetto video of him. And the funny thing is, he was so racist and hated black people, but he was trying to act so black. In this video, he's literally talking like black people talk. And by that, I mean hood black people. That's why I told y'all he was a whole hood rat, as far as I'm concerned. He was talking like a black person from the hood. I'm going to pull that video up in just a second.
In the hood, like we used to, before they all got locked up, they would have said, nephew, it's not worth it. That's not worth it, man. You got to let y'all either bang it out, y'all thump it out.